Hi, my name is Sarah Bettinger, and I'm a PM film student. I feel like movies today are lacking clever humor and ultimately take themselves too seriously. Because I have such picky taste, I thought it would be fun to learn how to craft a screenplay with the type of humor I enjoy. First off, story is king. A strong screenplay has a strong story with a solid 3-act structure and well-written characters. To start off my research, I started with some basics, the formatting of a screenplay. So as you can see from my infographic, which does not have as high of resolution as I would like it to at the moment, you can kind of see how I picked apart the different parts of the screenplay. One mistake I made here, though, was camera instructions actually would only be they would only be there in a shooting script, which is a little bit different from a screenplay, but I'll get to that in a second. As you can see, I have a heading at the top. This is just kind of like a sample, poorly written story that I wrote just to show how the formatting works. But as you can see, I have my characters, and their names are capitalized when they're introduced to show that they're important. Important objects and sounds are also capitalized. So now the difference between a shooting script and the screenplay. So a screenplay is kind of the actual script that we just saw, whereas a shooting script would give like editing and camera instructions and would really only be used when it's actually in the process of becoming a film. So if you want to get your screenplay to become a film, you turn in your screenplay, and then the story is revised a little bit, and camera and editing instructions are added, and it becomes a shooting script. So then I started looking into beat sheets, and on my slide here I have some different examples of beat sheets. And basically, beat sheets are tools that writers use to map out the different beats or pivotal moments of their story and plot. So in film, beat sheets give like page numbers and word counts that correspond with the beats, which can help to pace the story correctly. One of the most popular beat sheets is the Blake Snyder the Save the Cat beat sheet, which I have a couple different pictures of here on the slide. So this beat sheet gives page numbers corresponding to the different important beats in the scene, and they also help to transition the story between Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and give the movie or the film resolution at the end and a good establishing moment at the beginning. So during research, I read through some screenplays and I compared them to the Save the Cat beat sheet to kind of see how well I fit. So some of the movie posters here are some of the films that I read through their screenplays. And just to note here, I read through the screenplays and not the shooting scripts. So it was interesting to see how the story kind of changed slightly. I noticed that like sometimes the ending is different, well, slightly, and sometimes there were like extra characters that didn't really matter. And you can see why those changes were made once you see it on screen, but it was an interesting experience to read through those. So now for the process of writing a screenplay. So for my product, for Explorations, I decided to write a short little sample of my own screenplay for my own story, and I'm not super confident about sharing my work, but here we go. So first of all, you come up with a log line. So this is the log line for my story, and it pretty much introduces the characters, the conflict, and like any protagonists or and antagonistic forces or antagonists. So yeah, that's what I have there for my log line. After you have the log line, which should kind of just be like a 1-sentence summary of the whole thing, right? You move on to the treatment. So you don't really have to read what I have here, but here's a little bit of the treatment that I wrote, which corresponds to the log line that I just showed. And the treatment is pretty much a synopsis that breaks down and summarizes just in 1 or 2 pages what happens in each of the different acts. Finally, you turn it into a screenplay. So I just screenshotted a couple of the pages that I was working on, and you don't need to read it. If you want, you can, but they're just kind of here to show you what a screenplay might look like. So that is what I learned, and I really enjoyed doing this, and I really feel like this is something that I will do I work on in the future because it is for sure interesting.